Ex-NRL player Luke Bateman breaks down in tears speaking about gambling addiction. In the dim-lit confessional of a life once armored by the thunder of tackles and the glory of green fields, where fortunes flip faster than a loose ball in a wet-weather decider, can a single tear-streaked admission redeem a soul sold to the spin of the wheel? Envision a colossus of the canvas, his frame etched by 50 NRL games for the Raiders, now humbled not by defeat, but by the debt of demons long denied. The harrowing unraveling of Luke Bateman, ex-warrior turned whisperer of shadows, whose voice cracked the silence on a nation's screens. It was a balmy spring evening in late October 2025. The air in Sydney's bustling studios thick with the scent of polished floors and unspoken burdens, as if the harbor's salt breeze had seeped through the walls to mingle with the weight of waiting revelations. Luke Bateman, at 32, had traded his number 14 jersey for the quiet rebellion of book talk scrolls, millions of followers devouring his reads on resilience amid the ruins of rugby's roar. Yet here, under the unforgiving gaze of studio lights on a current affair, he returned not as influencer, but as the boy from Goulburn's frost-kissed paddocks, confronting the ghost that had haunted his halfback days. Please like, share, and subscribe for more sport talk content. The context unfurled like a slow-motion replay. Bateman's ascent in the NRL's unforgiving forge, debuting for Canberra in 2017 amid the electric hum of GIO Stadium, where fans' scarves whipped like flags of forgotten dreams. But beneath the cheers lurked the lure, a gambling addiction that slithered in during lonely road trips, the glow of casino screens brighter than any floodlit field. It started with harmless flutters on race days, a halfback's hedge against the game's caprice, but ballooned into a black hole, devouring over $500,000 from contracts hard-earned and harder kept. By 2023, as injuries sidelined him and retirement loomed like a gathering storm, the vice tightened. Mortgages unpaid, fridges barren, the once vibrant home in Sydney's west echoing with the hollowness of hollowed pockets. Bateman, a son of the Southern Highlands' stoic soil, where his father's coaching drills instilled grit over glamour, found himself adrift, the addiction a thief that stole not just savings, but the spark of self. Teammates noticed the shadows under his eyes during Raiders huddles, but the code of the locker room, laced with its own silent struggles, kept confessions caged. The turning point crashed in like a late tackle from nowhere, midway through the interview, the camera's unblinking eye capturing what words alone could not. Seated in a modest armchair, Bateman's broad shoulders, once a bulwark against blitz defenses, slumped as the host gently probed the nadir. Days without food, the shame of dialing his mother from a payphone at the track's edge. I couldn't even buy groceries, he began, voice a gravely tremor, the studio's hush amplifying the fracture. Then, as if the floodgates of 1,000 suppressed sobs gave way, tears carved silver trails down his cheeks, his hands, calloused from scrums and scrolls, clenching the arms of his seat. The room, a cocoon of controlled chaos, with producers frozen mid-note and the host's pen stilled, resonated with that raw, cinematic rupture. Bateman's breakdown wasn't theatrics. It was the Earth's core exposed, a halfback's heart laid bare amid the relics of rugby's glamour, trophies gathering dust in distant cabinets. His mother, Marg, a figure of unyielding Highland grace, had stepped into the breach, wiring funds for the mortgage that chained his young family. Her voice over the line, a lifeline laced with love's quiet ache. Luke, we're Batemans. We fight through. In the suspended breath that followed, the emotional crest swelled to symphonic heights, Bateman's sobs echoing like a dirge for the dreams drowned in debt. Off camera, a production assistant discreetly passed tissues, her own eyes glistening in silent solidarity, while the crew, veterans of 1,000 tales, averted gazes in respect for the ritual of release. It was the alchemy of vulnerability, the ex-player, now a beacon for the book talk brigade, transforming personal perdition into a parable, his tears the ink that would bleed across screens and souls. As the interview wrapped in a haze of hushed affirmations, private conversations bloomed in the green room's dim glow. Bateman, wiping his face with the sleeve of a hoodie emblazoned with his latest literary love, turned to the host. I hid it for years, thinking blokes don't break. But Mum, she saw the boy I was, not the mess I'd become. These whispers, intimate as a halftime pep talk, wove the moment's magic. Addiction's grip yielding to the grace of grace given, a son's reckoning with the woman whose sacrifices scripted his survival. The symbolic heart of it all pulsed in that tearful torrent. Not defeat, but dawn. A gambler's ruin reframed as redemption's first light, where the spin of slots gave way to the steady turn of pages. Bateman's pivot from punter to poet of the possible. In the studio's afterglow, as monitors flickered with previews of his impending book on breaking free, the air hummed with hope's hesitant harmony, the breakdown of bridge from buried pain to broadcasted bravery. Word of the weep spread like wildfire through the dry tinder of Australia's digital underbrush, igniting a current affairs clip to viral velocity. Over 2 million views in 48 hours. The footage of Bateman's face crumpling a communal gut punch shared from Sydney salons to outback lounger rooms. Social media, that relentless coliseum, erupted in empathy's embrace. Luke Bateman trending with threads of testimonies, fans tagging their own hidden battles, the hashtag a hashtag of healing rather than hurt. News cycles churned with compassionate coverage, Nine's bulletins leading with From Raiders Run to Redemption Road, while the Sydney Morning Herald delved into the op-ed depths, framing Bateman's fracture as a flare for the NRL's underlit underbelly. Fan reactions cascaded in comment cascades. Raiders diehards, their green and gold loyalties lifelong, flooding forums with legend off the field too. One veteran punter confessing, your tears hit harder than any try. I'm calling the line tomorrow. The spread was a salve, turning solitary shame into shared sanctuary. Culturally, it rooted deep in rugby league's rugged heritage, the sport's genesis in woolly workers' wages, where bookies' booths flanked the fields and the thrill of the punt was as native as the scrum. Bateman's story echoed the ghosts of icons like Joey Johns, whose own whispers of wagering woes in the 90s cracked open conversations long shuttered. In indigenous and working-class enclaves alike, where Goulburn's grit mirrors the game's own, his admission amplified the chorus. Half the team, he later revealed, wrestled similar sirens, a statistic that deepened the lore of league's latent loads. As the week waned, the ripple reached remote reaches. Podcasts like Triple J's Hack replaying the raw reel, while TikTok duets danced his disclosure with dances of defiance, young creators lip-syncing his lines to beats of breakthrough. Historical threads tightened. In the shadow of the 2010s casino scandals that scarred the code, Bateman's bravery burnished the badge of recovery, transforming a personal implosion into a public impetus for reform. Whispers of league-wide wellness waves gathering force. In the quiet coda of Canberra's cooling nights, where autumn leaves swirled like discarded betting slips across Raiders' training grounds, this moment settles into something sacred, a tear not of termination, but of terra firma regained. What does it unveil about the human harbor in sport's stormy seas? Bateman's breakdown illuminates the fragility beneath the ferocity, a reminder that warriors wear wounds as surely as they wield wills,